Hello everyone, and welcome to my B&B Fan Club channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Bill's life had always been a tangle of power intrigues, corporate struggles, and complicated relationships, but this was different. This was personal. Emma, the infant in question, was only 6 months old. Her little crib nestled away in a nursery upstairs, her quiet coos contrasting sharply with the mayhem below. Emma's mother, Lila, had been Bill's on-again, off-again love for years, a woman whose beauty and unpredictable nature had enticed him time and again. Their relationship was a tempest, passionate and destructive. Yet when Lila gave birth to Emma, Bill assumed the child was his. He touched her small hand, felt the weight of parenthood settle into his bones, and resolved to be a better man than he had been. Now this stranger's accusation threatened to destabilize everything. The man stood upright, his dark coat drenched in rain, his face shaded by a shaggy beard and eyes filled with anger and desperation. He went by Marcus, and his story was both wild and unnerving. He claimed to have met Lila 2 years ago, on one of her numerous breaks from Bill, in a dive bar on the outskirts of town. He described the night as short, meaning little to her but everything to him. He'd only lately discovered Emma, piecing together rumors and half-truths before tracking Lila down to Bill's estate. He had no evidence, no DNA test, only the belief that Emma's eyes, those piercing green eyes, were his own. Bill's immediate instinct was to kick Marcus out. He was a titan of enterprise, a guy who could crush hurdles with a flick of his wrist, and this scruffy nobody could not compete with him. But something in Marcus' voice, a raw edge of pain, made Bill hesitate. He had seen that kind of pain previously, in his own mirror following Lila's betrayals. So rather than alerting security, Bill poured 2 glasses of whiskey and motioned for Marcus to sit. He determined that the truth will come out either way. Lila was upstairs, unconscious of the impending storm below. She'd grown aloof since Emma was born, her laughter replaced by a deep melancholy that Bill couldn't quite grasp. He had put it down to new motherhood and the weight of their difficult history, but now he wondered if there was anything else she hadn't told him. He dispatched a maid to bring her, and when Lila descended the stairs, her auburn hair loose and her face pale, the room appeared to shrink around her. She halted when she saw Marcus, her eyes widening with something resembling fear or guilt. "Marcus." Her voice was scarcely audible, yet it bore the weight of recognition. "Do you know him?" Bill's tone was sharp, breaking through the silence. Lila's eyes raced between the 2 guys, her fists tightening together, as if she might extract the truth from them. "I met him once," she said, her voice shaking. "Bill, it was nothing. An error. I was drunk and angry with you. It didn't mean anything." Marcus laughed bitterly, making Bill's hands clench. "Didn't it mean anything? So why didn't you tell me about her, Lila? Why haven't you told me about my daughter? She is not yours." Lila's voice trembled, and she made a step toward Marcus, raising her hands as if to shove him away. "Emma is Bill's." "I know she is," but the uncertainty in her eyes betrayed her. Bill felt it like a stab in the gut. He had built his empire on certainty, understanding every angle and outcome. But here he was, staring at the woman he loved and a stranger who may have a claim on his kid, and all he could feel was the ground sliding beneath him. The following several days were a jumble of allegations and silence. Bill sought a DNA test, but the process was slow, and the waiting bothered him. Lila withdrew even farther, spending hours in the nursery, rocking Emma and mumbling apologies into her delicate locks. Marcus refused to go, renting a cheap motel room nearby, and visiting the home daily to demand answers. Bill couldn't take the sight of him, but he couldn't forget the man's story either. Marcus' eyes were haunted with resolve, similar to Bill's as he fought for what was his. As the days passed into a week, Bill started digging. He hired a private investigator to check into Marcus's past, hoping to uncover something, anything, that would discredit him. Marcus had grown up in foster care, bounced from home to home, and never felt like he belonged. He had performed odd jobs, moved from city to city, and had a criminal record for petty theft and bar fights. But there was no evidence of fraud, no indication that Marcus was lying about his relationship with Lila. If anything, The man's life exemplified the kind of desperation that could drive someone to cling to a child as their last hope for purpose. Lila, meanwhile, began to unravel. She confessed to Bill late one night, her words slipping out between sobs. She was lost when she met Marcus, fresh off one of their numerous breakups. She had no idea she was pregnant when she returned to Bill, nor had she considered the possibility that Emma wasn't his. But now, faced with Marcus' conviction, she was unsure. The confession shocked Bill, not because Emma wasn't his, but because Lila had kept it from him. The already frail trust between them was shattered like glass. The DNA test results arrived on a wet morning in a sealed envelope, which Bill gripped like a ticking bomb. He joined Lila and Marcus in the living room, where the horror began. Emma was asleep upstairs, her innocence in stark contrast to the gravity of the situation. Bill opened the envelope with firm hands, despite the storm in his chest. He reviewed the results silently before passing the paper to Lila. Her hands shook as she accepted it, her eyes reading the page before she sobbed uncontrollably. Marcus was not the father. Bill was. Bill should have felt relieved, but instead he felt hollow. Lila's weeping, Marcus' defeated droop, the weeks of doubt. They had all left scars that no test could remove. Marcus departed without saying anything, his shoulders bent against the rain, escaping into a world that had never treated him well. Bill watched him leave, a peculiar regret rising in his breast. The man had come looking for a family, a bit of himself in Emma's eyes, and now he was alone once more. Lila attempted to cross the gap between them, her apologies pouring over one another, but Bill could not hear her. He loved Emma and would always love her, but the betrayal remained. He saw Lila as a stranger, someone who had secrets that could have taken his daughter away from him. The home, once a symbol of his wealth, now felt like a prison, its walls closing in with each unspoken word. In the weeks that followed, Bill immersed himself in his work, working long hours at Spencer Publications and avoiding the nursery where Emma's laughing had previously made him happy. Lila attempted to contact him, but was met with silence. One night, she packed a suitcase and departed, leaving a note stating that she needed time to find herself. She promised to return for Emma, but Bill was unsure whether he believed her. He stood in the nursery, holding his daughter, and felt the weight of her destiny in his hands. She was unquestionably his, but the truth came at the expense of a family irreparably divided. Months passed, and Bill grew accustomed to single fatherhood. He hired a nanny, altered his schedule to be around for Emma's bedtime, and learned how to braid her small curls. The home became quieter as the ghosts of Lila and Marcus faded into memory. But sometimes late at night, Bill would stand at the window, watching the city lights, and wonder about the man who had come to take a piece of his world. Marcus had been mistaken about Emma, but his anguish was genuine, mirroring Bill's current loneliness. Emma grew, her green eyes a reminder of the tempest that had almost destroyed them. Bill promised to protect her and offer her the stability he had never had. But he understood deep down that the mystery of her parentage had transformed him. It had taken away his illusions, leaving him with a fact that was both a blessing and a curse. Love, in all of its manifestations, came at a cost. And Bill Spencer paid the price with a heart that would never completely trust again. The glittering gates of Bill's home swung open, and tension seemed to sizzle in the air. The late afternoon light created long shadows across the marble driveway, and every flower in the courtyard appeared strangely quiet, as if waiting for something dreadful to happen. Those within the mansion felt it, too, a hush, a stop, as if the entire world was holding its breath. Inside, Bill Spencer walked in his study, his footsteps echoing off the walls adorned with photographs of stern forebears. He had anticipated trouble, rumors, gossip, and whispers among personnel. But nothing could have prepared him for what was to come. The front doorbell rang quickly, a staccato note amid the silence. Bill froze, his hand hovering over a sealed envelope. He exchanged glances with his butler, but nobody moved at first. The butler tightened his expression and nodded. Bill moved forward, coattails flapping behind him, and opened the door. Standing there, framed by daylight, was a man whose mere appearance drew attention. He was well-dressed and confident, with a weird intensity in his gaze. He stared past Bill and into the big foyer, saying in a firm, ringing voice, "I'm the baby's father." For a heartbeat, the world blinked. Bill's jaw slacked. Who was the man, and how did he dare to make such a claim? Nobody had heard of him. Nobody had expected such a confrontation. The workers froze behind him, and Bill's heart pounded with fear and wrath. "Come in," Bill replied finally, his voice low but forceful. "Explain yourself." He motioned him inside, despite his instinct to shut the door and call the guards. "The visitor has entered." He held himself with ease, as if he belonged in beautiful homes. He scanned the walls, chandeliers, and art before focusing on Bill. "My name is Adrian Lovell," he said, straightening his shoulders. "And I've come because I refuse to remain silent while a lie rules this house." Bill's brows sharpened. "What do you claim?" His tone was skeptical, almost scornful. Adrian's stare remained solid. "I claim paternity. I am the father of that baby, which you believe belongs to someone else." His lips twisted into a rueful smile. "I have proof. I have witnesses. I have the right to demand the truth." At that point, footsteps echoed from behind them. Luna came from the passageway, frail but determined, accompanied by her closest allies. She'd heard the hubbub. Her pale yet determined expression showed years of emotional strife. She was staring at Adrian. He held her gaze. "Luna, I understand this is a shock. I know you've heard a variety of stories. But before you shove me aside or accept any untruth, listen to me." Questions poured in from every part of the room. "Who are you? Where were you all this time? How dare you turn up like this?" Bill demanded. The butler hovered nearby, unsure whether to intervene. Adrian drew a firm breath. "I was in your lives long ago, but went unnoticed. I knew Luna when she first got here, years ago. We were entwined, but circumstances forced me away. I left because I believed she needed peace. But now I know that peace was a lie, constructed on secrets." He looked to Luna. "I've never wanted to conceal. But I missed my chance to stay. Nevertheless, I never stopped watching. And when I discovered about the pregnancy, I knew I had to speak up." Gasps reverberated. Luna recoiled, her eyes glistening with perplexity and pain. "Why now?" she whispered. "Because I could no longer remain silent," Adrian said. "Because I can't bear the thought of her child being falsely claimed. Because you deserve the truth, and he deserves a name." Bill moved closer to them, his expression filled with rage. "Do you think you can come in and rewrite history? My family's reputation is on the line. My child, or putative child, is at stake." Adrian nodded and removed a tiny folder from his coat. He opened it and found papers, images, and most damningly, a preliminary DNA result with signatures and lab seals. He held it out to Bill. Luna gave a gasp. "This is real," Adrian stated. "This was done with strict confidentiality. Witnesses validated the chain of custody. It shows a match." He gently placed it on Bill's desk, where the lamplight flashed across large text and diagrams. Bill gazed. His voice was tense. "I don't believe it. It could be tampered." He tugged on the paper's edges. "Who completed this test for you?" "An autonomous lab, beyond your control," Adrian replied. "I have receipts, communications, and witness statements." I was cautious. Luna approached, apprehensive. She extended her hand toward the report, but she couldn't bring herself to touch it yet. "Show me," she demanded, her voice harsh. Adrian slid it across the desk toward her. She folded her fingers, lifted it, and peered. The lines, the codes, the match probability. Each number was like a dagger to her heart. Bill threw up his hands. "This is manipulation. Some evil scheme to take control of my empire." His face turned scarlet, with veins visible in his temples. Adrian's eyes blazed. "Do you want to deny something that could change everything? Fine. But I'm not leaving until we have a proper, court-approved test. I will not be hushed any longer." The silence grew. The personnel grumbled amongst themselves. Long-buried secrets surfaced. The walls themselves appeared to lean in. Luna settled into a neighboring chair. Her eyes welled up with tears, but she refrained from crying. "I'm afraid," she murmured, her voice shaking. "With so many lies and stories, how can I know what's true?" She looked at Bill and Adrian. Adrian knelt alongside her, saying, "Help me. You deserve the truth, no more, no less. I will not put you under strain. But I'll stand here and fight this. Bill glared. You will receive your test. But until then you're my guest, under supervision. He turned to his butler. Seal the wing. No one in or out without my approval. The butler nodded, and the servants moved to comply. As the afternoon passed, the atmosphere in the home became tense with uncertainty. Guests were summoned from offices, and family members were alerted. Reports swirled around whispered corridors. A stranger claimed fatherhood. Everyone is saying Luna's name. Bill is furious at the challenge to his authority. Night fell, and with it restless thoughts. Luna sat at her vanity in her bedroom, facing the report as if it were a task. She softly touched the page, traced a number, and peered in the mirror. The reflection appeared to alter. Was she indeed the mother of someone else's child? Her pulse raced. Adrian sat outside her door, silent yet alert. He would not intrude, but neither would he retreat. Secrets simmered beyond the walls. Unspoken histories, old regrets, buried letters, images stashed in boxes, and witnesses sleeping restless. Bill went to his study and paced. His crown felt imperiled. For years he had built his family's story and controlled the stories, but now a rogue variable threatens it all. He resisted, orchestrated, and schemed. But could he hide the truth? Down in the servants' quarters, the staff muttered. Some remained faithful to Bill, while others silently served Luna and pondered if they had missed signs. Several others recognized Adrian from previous encounters, whispering in whispered tones, but none spoke up until now. Luna retired to bed around midnight, exhausted. But sleep evaded her. Memories flashed back. Occasions she had crossed paths with Adrian, letters she had kept concealed, and a brief encounter she had almost forgotten. Did she leave a relationship abruptly to spare him pain? Did she erase portions of her own past to protect someone's reputation? The pieces had always been there, stashed away behind mental shelves, but now they tumbled. The next morning dawned bright, bringing with it a sense of urgency. Bill convened a family gathering in the grand drawing room. The vast crystal chandeliers glinted overhead, and pictures of centuries appeared to peer down in quiet judgment. Luna, paler but determined, sat between Bill and his trusted confidants. Adrian stood calmly, arms folded, while guards flanked the doors. Among the attendees were lawyers, family members, and individuals who knew Luna before she came into this world. Bill opened. I called this meeting because terrible allegations have been made. I insist that we bring in a professional, court-approved DNA test to settle the question once and for all. He paused, his gaze shifting to Adrian. If this stranger is to believe he's father, he must back it with incontrovertible evidence. Adrian nodded. Agreed. I proposed it from the start. I have already arranged for a third-party laboratory that is acceptable to all parties. It's ready. I'm ready to supply a sample and an agreement, and I ask Luna to do the same. Luna rose slowly. Her voice remained gentle but strong. I will comply. I too want the truth, not for the allegations, but for my child. She turned to face Bill. No more lying. No more cover-ups. Whatever the outcome, I demand honesty. A murmur echoed throughout the room. Bill's face clouded. Fine. We will do the test. However, until we have results, no one can declare paternity. Adrian spoke up. One more thing. I want visiting rights. If the test finds in my favor, I don't intend to stay a stranger. His remarks were calm but forceful, and they struck another jolt through the crowd. Bill growled gently. You've got nerve. That will not be tolerated. Suddenly, a lawyer steps forward. Under the law, if you are the father, you have certain rights, including visitation or custody, depending on the verdict. But until then, the judicial system will make the final decision. He stared at Luna. You'll also have representation. This will be handled legally, not by threats or intimidation. Luna's heart pounded. Her thoughts raced with possibilities. If Adrian was her child's father, she would owe him knowledge, involvement, and even love, but also questions about her past, about why she had pushed him away. If Adrian was not, this would be another setback, forcing her to defend everything she thought she had constructed. Bill interrupted the stillness. I consent to the test. But this is where it ends. No more dramas. No more mysterious mails. I will defend my family's name. He turned to Luna with a softer edge. I did this to protect you, to do what is best for the child. But now the stakes are too high. We'll face this together, Adrian said, bowing his head. I accept the terms. But I shall not be silent. And if I am a confirmed father, I demand more than just courtesy. I expect participation, respect, and a place, not as a usurper, but as someone who cares for this child. The drawing room felt empty after that. People trickled away. Escorts to offices, legal teams in consultation, and employees in quiet nooks. Luna and Adrian remained across the room from one another, separated by tension and doubt. Over the next few hours, plans were made. The test would be conducted under supervision. Samples were taken, and the line of custody was meticulously documented. Witnesses were named. Legal counsel agreed. Even Bill's inner circle was involved in oversight. For once, he lost some of his power, though he would never admit it.